Hi friends, and welcome back. Today we're talking all about my absolute favorite ways to store and organize freezer meals so that you actually have room for all your freezer meal prep in your freezer. I have to say, one of the number one comments I get about freezer meal prep before somebody begins is, oh my gosh, I would love to do this, but I have no room in my freezer. So today I'm going to tell you how to get around that. And I'm going to be quite honest with you, up until about a month ago, I did not have a deep freezer or anything like that. I did 1 to 2 months of meal prep all in my freezer attached to my fridge. So I know the struggle, and I'm here to give you all the best tips and tricks. So let's jump right into it, friends. Let's go. Okay, so before we even get started and talking about ways to store food in your freezer efficiently, we need to talk about the first 2 things you need to do before you try freezer meal prep so that you actually have more room in your freezer. Now, number 1, that's going to be go through all the things in your freezer and clean out all those things that are super expired. Now, I understand things can last a long time in the freezer, and that's totally fine. But if you're anything like me or anyone else in the world, maybe there are things that have been there for a little too long to be safe, and you need to go ahead and get those out. So a good freezer clean out is always an excellent option. Okay, and then your second step is going to be try to plan, this isn't a must, but this is something that's going to help a lot. A week before you do your freezer meal prep, you want to try and do what I call a no spend week. And that is when you literally go through your pantry and your freezer and your fridge and you try and only eat the things that you have instead of going to the grocery store. Not only does this save you money, but this is also going to save you so much space later. So really, especially if you're about to do freezer meal prep, focus on the things that are in your freezer, cook it, and enjoy a week of a lower grocery budget. And that'll help you when you're buying all your next groceries for the month to do your freezer meal prep. So stay tuned, because we will be doing a no spend week challenge here soon here on the channel and the newsletter. So make sure to sign up for the email list below. If you want more information about that, you can sign up for my free freezer meal cheat sheet down below, and that'll get you on the list. Y'all ready to talk about storage? Because I know I would love to talk about storage. Let's go. Okay, your first tried and true option for freezer meal storage is the plastic baggie freezer meal. Now, I did have a question. I asked for questions before I hopped on here. Did have a question about what's my favorite brand. Honestly, haven't found a favorite yet. Haven't seen a big difference. I bought really expensive bags to see, and I haven't seen a difference from the really cheap ones. So honestly, right now, I still go with the cheapest ones until I find one I like better. With a caveat, we're about to talk about another type of bag that I would recommend maybe more. But this is like the basis of freezer meal cooking. Your bags are going to be so important because they are the most space-saving thing you've got. So when you've got these, you're gonna be good. But let's talk about something else that's closely related. Okay, excuse the wrinkles, but it's been well used. This is a reusable freezer bag. It is silicone, and I have to say I do like these. I don't like the waste that usually comes with freezer meals. I've been actively making steps to try and eliminate that, but finding the right products is a little tricky. These particular reusable ones, I'm gonna link all these products below, so you're gonna be good, don't worry. These particular reusable ones I've liked a lot. However, I hate cleaning them. This is the only downfall of these. I like them better than I like my plastic bags, simply because sometimes with the plastic bags, when you thaw them out and you have to like throw them in a thing of cold water, sometimes if I need to thaw things out quick, I'll throw them in a bowl of cold water. But sometimes some of them leak and get water inside the bags, and that kind of sucks because your meal's not at the right water to stuff ratio then. These don't do that, and so I'm probably going to completely switch over to these. I attempted to throw this one in my dishwasher because that's how much I hate cleaning them. And And as you can see, it came out like this. They do stain with like tomatoey foods. They stain pretty easy, I've noticed. So I have some caveats with this, but I feel like this is a really solid option. If you're like in on freezer meals and you know you want to do these, definitely invest in some of these. Okay, the next one I'm going to be talking about is your standard aluminum foil tray. So these trays are super nice because they can go straight in your oven from the freezer. You can wrap them up as much as you need to, you know, to keep all the air out. And I usually don't have issues with these getting freezer bite or anything. The only thing, when you do casseroles or pasta bakes like this, you will have, like, they take more space, and that's just that. They take up more space in your freezer. Sorry, this is cold. I'm gonna put it back. Okay, so they take up more space in your freezer, and so you can get less in there like that. So this is always kind of like a give and take. In my freezer meal guides that I make, I usually include like 1 or 2 meals that go in a tray, simply because they do take up a lot of space, and most of my meals go in a bag. Well, if you want a reusable option, we do have glass and plastic. You can put in your freezer. The plastic I don't really recommend because you can't bake it from that usually. These guys are nice. I don't find that this is a good enough seal to only do this. So if you were doing this, I feel like you need to wrap it some more. And maybe get some of the press-in seal cling wrap. That could work really well with this. I find that these are harder to seal for some reason than my standard aluminum foil trays. And I don't like to have all my casserole dishes in my freezer. I don't have very many of them because I have space issues in my kitchen. I find that it's hard to store all of these too for freezer meal prep. It's not like all the other options where it's a lot flatter. So that's a definite con for these, but they're reusable. Alrighty, the next option I'm talking about, I'm like, where have they been all my life? That's how I feel about this right now. Okay, so this is, each of these sections, sorry, are a cup. They're called super cubes. This is super fancy. See, it can go in your freezer. Now this is really good for things like after you've cooked it, you can throw it in here to save for later in individual portions, and you can pop one out at a time. So I just made vegetable soup 2 weeks ago. I popped all the leftovers in here so we didn't have to eat it the next day. We get burnt out, you know, everybody gets burnt out on stuff. And then I popped out, I had one in each. This is a cup each, and this was about half a bowl of soup. And so literally all you have to do is push out and it pops them out one at a time. So you can freeze things in this and then move them into a bag and then freeze more stuff. So that's the beauty about these. These can also go straight into the oven. So that's slightly amazing to me. No microwave, but they can go into the oven and they wash so well. Like, I am incredibly impressed with how well this washed in my dishwasher. Can you tell I don't like dishes? I don't like dishes. So yeah, this was a super awesome find and I highly recommend them. They come in bigger things. I would suggest, if you want to do like a decent sized serving, get the bigger one. There's 2 instead of 4. It's 2 cups each. And I am absolutely going to be investing in way more of these. I've linked them below. Last but not least, for storing things in your freezer, a vacuum sealer. I grabbed this from my local Aldi. It works really well. You can grab any of them on Amazon. They don't have to be very expensive. It'll be okay. Look at the reviews though. Important step. I have not used this one a ton yet, but I'm super happy with the options that I have with it. I really like this one. Is way better for long-term storage, so things you maybe are going to put in your deep freezer or even in your normal freezer that you want to stay cold for a really long time. I like to use my freezer meal bags simply because they're easy, and I usually don't have them in my freezer for more than a month. So that's pretty simple and that's good. But if I know I'm going to put something in there for a while, this is a better option. So we've gone through all your options on what you can store your freezer meal stuff in. So now let's hop on over into my freezer and I need to organize it a little bit so you can see that. And then from there, I'll show you the best way to store all your freezer meal stuff in your freezer. Let's go. Okay, so I have one of your really standard like pull out freezers at the bottom of my fridge. As you can see, I've got some popsicles here. Here's some ice packs, but I just took it out of the ice. We had an unfortunate incident with some pop exploding a while back, and I'm still finding remnants of it. Here's some frozen vegetables, and then underneath here are freezer meals. On this side, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's 6. There's 6 freezer meals here. There's just one right here because I've got all kinds of just random vegetables and stuff right there. I know I can do this better. So your number one rule when you're freezing things is going to be to freeze them flat. That's really, really, really important, is to freeze them flat. Because you're gonna save so much space doing that. This bag in particular is probably too full, just a heads up. But I like to test things, so I went with it. Now, something I can do here, this guy, I'm gonna sit right here for right now, and he actually, if I can get him right, he can probably go all the way down that way too. But I like to put things that are open and unused so far. I like to store at top so it's easy. And basically what we're gonna do here is, oh, these are 2 freezer meals as well. So you can see in my freezer right now, I have, that was 6, 7, 8, 9 freezer meals. So that's like really 2 weeks worth of food. I apologize that this is beeping. Hold on. Okay, so I'm trying to arrange this a little bit better. I'm not sure if I'll leave stuff there like that, but this is something that's open that may need to be used. I like to keep that accessible. There's some rolls. This is some easy, just can be thrown in the microwave. Some little meatloaf cups. Let's see. Throw my rolls over here. So basically I'm gonna move all this stuff up to the top. So hold on just a second. Okay, so you can see I've kind of got everything up here. I know it looks like a mess, but it's not. Up here is all my vegetables. I've got meats back here. Sorry, it's gonna keep beeping. And then I've got my one thing of, here we go. My one thing of ice cream right there. Now, underneath here, and this does fit like this, but I would like to move it. Yes, I had some unfortunate spillage that I will clean at a later date. I've already tried to clean it once, but hey, we're going with what we got here. All right, so as we said, 6 meals over here, 7 right there, 2 up top, and now I can easily fit, depending on how big these meals are, I can fit another 5 meals in this side, and then even 1 or 2 on the sides. Now, what I would do if I was trying to prep to fit even more freezer meals in there is I would clear out all that stuff up top. I would be eating some veggie soup and some meatball subs to really clear out all of our vegetables and stuff on top. Or I would probably, most of that stuff is stuff I would use in my freezer meal prep. 9 meals total, and then we've got a bunch of extra space up top once we use it. I can easily fit another probably at least 7 meals. So once I get to the end of it, I'm gonna be able to fit 20 meals in there, no problem. Especially since I'm gonna be taking that stuff out of the top. Now, what I also want you to know and to think about is that when you're putting all this stuff in your freezer, you need to make sure you're putting it in your fridge first, because we want it to not be warm when we're putting it in our freezer. Because if you stuff all your freezer full of all this stuff warm, it's going to lower the temperature of your freezer, and that's not a good thing. So make sure you put it in your fridge first. That's just a random storage tip. I have that in my freezer meal guides. There's a reminder in them because that's important. The meals I have in this fridge right now are pretty thick as far as the bags are. There are easily meals that take up way less space. If I was to fill this up with some of my chicken and rice recipes, I could maybe fit 30 of those in there because literally they take up very little space and they're done. So it just depends on the meals and the meal guides. Usually my meal guides, I have the top of my thing almost clear and I have all my meals in the bottom. So just so you know, it's absolutely possible, and you have so many beautiful options for storage here. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Remember to sign up for that free freezer meal cheat sheet below, and you guys can check out all of my greatest tips on freezer meal prep, and keep an eye out because I have some new meal guides coming soon. So, all right, bye guys, see you soon.